Stop misrepresenting evolution. The Ginkgo hattonii is a four-lobed plant. The Ginkgo biloba is a two-lobed plant. Just as a bit of context, ginkgos are one of the living fossils that we use as examples of no evolution, right? Going from a four-lobed plant down to a two-lobed plant. As this is differentiation in genes and is displayed over several generations of its species, because that is the basic rule for a new species, then it requires a different name. This is basic evolution. So a big old question, lots of different aspects. Diane, over to you.
Well, you need to consider what you mean by evolution. Going from a four-lobe plant to a two-lobe plant, or the other way around, is not really a huge change. It's actually a variation. And I personally have picked leaves off one tree that had 2 lobes, 4 lobes, 5 lobes, and 6 lobes. So you can get tremendous variation of ginkgos. Now, just like with people, you can get characteristics that are passed on from one generation to another consistently. So that happens in all living things, plants and animals. And when we look at these things and say, well, yes, that tree reproduces after its kind and its leaves tend to have 4 lobes, so we will classify it as Ginkgo hattonia. And then another one which consistently produces leaves with just 2 lobes, well, we'll call that one Ginkgo biloba. All you've done is label things which are variations of the same basic structure. So what you've got there is variation within kind. It's possible, and I don't know whether you've ever tried this too, you could breed those together and they will actually breed together. So nothing has evolved. What you've got is variation. There's lots of that in the biological world, and you select out the ones that happen to suit that particular environment. Natural selection is a real process, and so are mutations, which is a whole other issue we won't go into. So all those processes we can observe. What we have not observed is that seaweed turned into trees, which, if you believe in the evolution of plants started off in the sea as single-celled creatures, and we now have gum trees and orchids and ginkgo biloba and all of those things, with a whole lot of things in between, like ferns and pine trees. And so looking at just a change in leaf modification from 2 lobes to 4 lobes or the other way around will not explain how gum trees and orchids and ginkgos could have evolved from something that started out as a one-celled plant in the sea. So we're not misrepresenting evolution. We're actually critiquing that whole idea of evolution from single cells, microbes, to multicellular complex organisms. And there's no evidence for that at all. But we do see a lot of variation. That's normal biology. How are we going for time there, Craig?
Well, you did it within 3 minutes.
Wow. Good stuff.
Great job. I might just add something there.
Yes, please do.
I think that one part of the problem is evolution is such a slippery term. It's like trying to grab hold of an eel. You know, I've done that, and they're very hard to grab hold of. So is the concept of evolution, because if it means any change, then in some respects we would hold to evolution, wouldn't we? Like, because there is change in some things. But if it means change from one organism to another, then we certainly don't agree that that's a process that's ever observed. So change within a created kind is something that we very much accept. That's part of, I think, God's creative genius, as well as in some aspects a result of reactions or natural selection in a fallen world.
Yeah, and remember, the classification system was created by a Bible-believing in creation, and named genus after the Bible's term kind, created after a kind. And species is just the Latin for special within that kind, that there's variation within kinds. That is a recognition of the biblical view.